Hey guys, and welcome to the newest upload on Exponential DFS. I am Michael, or That Guy Expo, and I'm doing my solo pod for the week. This is Exponential Sports Talk, and today is Thursday, August 18th. So today, I'd like to first start by thanking each and every one of you that's tuning into this video. If you've watched our previous pod where Corey and I did a video together, we talked about Alex Rodriguez being released. Among other topics, that video has done so well for our channel, above and beyond what we could have expected. We really do appreciate anyone that watched that video and anyone that spread that around in any way on social media or what have you. We really do appreciate it from both Corey and I. I'm sure tomorrow when we do a pod together, he'll also express his gratitude to you guys for that. So today in my solo pod, which again, like Corey talked about, the schedule we're going to be keeping is him on Tuesday, me on Thursday, and us together on Friday with a video every now and then on a Sunday to kind of have that leap in between Friday and Tuesday be a little bit shorter in between videos. So what I'm going to be talking about today, a few topics that I really had on my mind that have really come up recently in the sports world. So the first topic that I'm going to discuss today is Aroldis Chapman. So it's not directly impacting Aroldis Chapman, but if you missed this story, I'll go ahead and kind of link it down below as well as the other information for this. So if you kind of missed it, the Chicago Cubs have fired a DJ that worked with the club in the stadium for playing an inappropriate song when Aroldis Chapman, I guess, was entering a game recently within the last week. And if you're not familiar with baseball, where you've been to stadiums, you typically don't hear these things when you sit at home and watch the games because they go to commercials. But when you're actually in the stadium, all these players typically have songs picked out, whether they're a hitter or a pitcher, like a reliever. They have songs that they walk up to when they're coming up to hit, and a lot of the, especially closers, but relief guys kind of have songs that they'll walk out of the bullpen to, like if you see Major League with The Wild Thing and things like that. So very similar. I don't know how this worked for this song being played, because I would definitely say that Aroldis Chapman most likely did not pick this song, because I don't think he's stupid. So I'm going to link the song down below because I can't actually play it on here. I don't want to get copyrighted, and I also don't really feel like playing this song. But the song is basically Smack My Bitch Up is the name of the song. And it's a song by, I think it's a group named Prodigy. They're not from the United States, I don't believe. But regardless of that, it's more of kind of a electronic-ish type song. So I could understand if you listen to the song. I'm going to link it down below if you guys want to go listen to it before I talk about it any further. If you listen to the song, it is pretty catchy. It's upbeat. It makes sense why it could be played in this type of atmosphere for like an entrance, right? But of course the issue is mainly, like, the only lyric in the entire song is the title of the song. It's just repeated over and over pretty much. So there's an issue with that. And obviously, if you're not familiar with Aroldis Chapman's background, he was suspended 30 games at the beginning of the year for his involvement in allegedly choking his girlfriend. He still was denying it, but he was suspended, agreed to the suspension, whatever. So that's came and gone. People still have negative feelings about him really denying it, not wanting to talk about it, whatever. So regardless of how you feel about that, someone screwed up, right? And obviously the Cubs think it's the DJ because they fired him. They no longer want his services. Shouldn't have played a song like that. Now, regardless of whether the song was played for Chapman entering or not, obviously this is an issue because I've heard this discussed. I mean, the ballpark's supposed to be a family atmosphere, right? Now, of course, you hear songs all the time for these walk-ups that are censored songs, that are from rappers, and no one typically has a problem with that. I think the issue everyone has is domestic violence has become a huge issue, not only in the world, but specifically in sports, right? Like, really focused in sports because you have so many athletes that are being suspended for this. So many athletes have come out and talked against domestic violence. It's become a huge issue, especially in the NFL, but also Major League Baseball. They're really doing their best to try to crack down on as well with their new policy. So big issue, domestic violence. This song, I mean, I already said the title. It's explicitly talking about that, basically. I mean, it's not something you would want to take your 10-year-old son to the ballpark and be hear through the loudspeakers of the ballpark when Aroldis Chapman is entering the game, and then having to explain to your son what that means and whatever. So I don't know specifically what parts of the song was played. I couldn't find this information. I really did want to find this. I wanted to find a video. Just so I was wanting to become a little more familiar with whether parts of the song were actually played that those lyrics were said, or if it's just the beat part of the song. And I would have a little less of an issue if it's just the beat, because then really no one probably would have known what was going on. Regardless, though, the DJ thinking this is a good idea to play a song with that title in a ballpark and in a sport that's really trying to fight domestic violence, not smart. So someone screwed up. I'm leaning towards the way that it's the DJ, and that's the reason why they got rid of him. But go ahead and kind of leave a comment down below what you feel about this. Are people overreacting if it was mainly just the beat and not any lyrics were actually played in the stadium? And if that's the case, I could see where maybe this is being a little blown out of proportion, a little bit blown out of the water. But regardless, domestic violence is something that's not acceptable and something that, pick a different song. Just pick a different song. And the big screw up was especially playing it for Chapman specifically, a guy that's been linked to domestic violence this season, or it was, I guess, last October was when the event actually occurred, I believe. So regardless, big problem, not only just playing the song in the stadium, but huge problem playing it specifically for him. All right, so moving on to Leonard Fournette. So I don't know if you guys watch Colin Cowherd, his show The Herd on Fox Sports 1, but he has a guy on there occasionally, Nick Wright, that will take over the show for him when he's on vacation sometimes, and he'll also be on the show. So Nick Wright had this hot take recently that Leonard Fournette should not play another down of college football. He recently, I don't know if you guys caught this news, again, link the stories for this down below. He recently got hurt in like a scrimmage in practice where he kind of twisted his ankle a little bit. He's not expected to have any issues. He's expected to be perfectly fine, but he was wearing a boot because of the injury. So the argument for this that kind of Nick Wright was making was that he's not making any money in college, obviously, right now playing football. He's going to be a top 5 pick most likely next year's NFL draft. Why risk your future like Marcus Lattimore did, and never be the same player if you get hurt, never get paid the type of money you would have gotten paid to play another year of college football, which in all reality means nothing to your future, right, when you're Leonard Fournette. Now, for a lot of players, this is not the case. They obviously need to play so that they can get their stocks rising and be prepared for the NFL. Fournette is already ready for the NFL, in my opinion, as well as Nick writes that you really, he doesn't have much more to prove. Now, again, he's been a monster. Could it be great to see him do it again for another year to show this is true? This is like not a fluke? Absolutely. I mean, that's probably what he's going to end up doing. I don't think he's going to sit out. But I do definitely understand the argument. And would I fault him for doing it? No. Would it take kind of the spirit out of college sports? Yes, in a way. Because you obviously want your best athletes out there playing for your school, especially when you've given them a scholarship to go to the school. And yeah, the argument again is, could he say, I'm done? I'm no longer going to be going to school, or pay for his own school, like Nick Wright mentioned? Yeah, that's definitely an option, for sure. Do I think this is something that's going to happen? Absolutely not. I think he's going to play. But I think if he gets any sort of a small injury this season, I think it's going to be in the back of his mind. Should I sit out the rest of the year? Should I sit out? Because again, we saw that with Marcus Lattimore. He was a really high NFL prospect, was doing great in college, fantastic, and then completely blew out his knee and was done. He hasn't played really at all in the NFL. He's like a third string, I believe. So definitely see the argument. Comment down below what you feel about this, guys. I'm kind of on the fence about it because I completely would get it from Leonard Fournette's point of view. Doesn't want to risk his future, but I also get the argument that it really takes the spirit out of college football, really would hurt LSU as a whole, as a school, as a program, would set them back, especially this season, as well as really help other SEC schools, and that really changes the national championship picture, playoff picture, all of those sort of things. So this one decision that he could make that's not a selfish decision, but a personal decision, could really affect all college football. All right, so next discussion, Jonathan Papelbon. So Jonathan Papelbon was released from the Washington Nationals after the Nationals acquired Mark Melanson from the Cubs at the trade deadline. Papelbon was not doing all that great in Washington. I don't think really has ever had all that much success there. He's a huge personality, and you could see that as a problem because he can really butt heads with people. And this has been him basically his entire major league career, whether he was in Boston, Washington, wherever. So really can be an issue if you don't have the right personalities in the clubhouse with him. So he's a free agent now. He can sign with any team that he wants. And I think the two main teams that he's been linked to basically everyone I've heard except the Rangers. The Rangers are the team that have already come out and said they really don't have any interest. And again, this is according to MLB trade rumors. So Rangers, I guess, have come out and said they have no interest. And two teams I saw linked to him that I think do make the most amount of sense are the Cubs and the Red Sox. Now, obviously, which of those two teams has the biggest need? I would say the Red Sox. The Cubs really, really shored up their bullpen with getting Chapman, among other guys like Montgomery, for their bullpen. Really, really have improved their bullpen. They have a very strong one. The Red Sox, that is their biggest weakness right now. Earlier in the year, obviously the Red Sox' biggest weakness was starting pitching. But I would say, as of right now, their biggest weakness by far is their bullpen. And the reason for this, it just happened today. Blew a 3-1 lead going into the 8th inning. I blame some of that on the managing decisions today, but for the most part, the bullpen just hasn't been good. The starting pitching the last week and a half has been absolutely phenomenal. And I would say even beyond that, last 2 or 3 weeks has been really, really, really good. David Price looked really good in his start yesterday. It's just been great. Stephen Wright is hurt, but Clay Buchholz came out today, made another spot start, threw great, only 1 earned today. Of course, Porcello is like 17-3 on the year, something along those lines. He's been absolutely lights out. Pomeranz had his best start as a Red Sox in his last start, getting his first win. Once Stephen Wright comes back, he's been throwing really, really well this year. So that starting staff has really come strong since, I would say, the last month, pretty much. The offense is the offense. One of the top offenses in baseball, definitely the top offense in the American League, numbers-wise. Only other offense you could argue would probably be the Cubs in all of baseball that you would consider probably better. So the real issue is the bullpen. When you look at the bullpen, their main bullpen acquisitions at the trade deadline, obviously you have Brad Ziegler. He's been fantastic for this club so far. He's been arguably their most consistent bullpen reliever. And then Abad. And Abad's been absolutely horrendous. I saw some number the other day. I forgot where I saw it. I believe it was he had allowed 10 of the 23 hitters he had faced to reach base. And this was a couple days ago, and it probably has changed since then. But that was a shocking number for me to see, that he's really been that bad. And he isn't getting lefties out, and he's a left-hander specialist, and it's been really bad. So there are arms in that bullpen that have been really good this year. Matt Barnes, Robbie Ross, just to name a few. And Uehara was doing really quite well until he got hurt. So having Uehara hurt, Kimbrel's been pretty inconsistent. Beyond Robbie Ross, they don't have anyone that can really get out lefties. Ziegler's been their most consistent. And I think because of this, if I had to guess, I would see Papelbon re-signing with Boston for the reason that I think they would be willing to overpay him because they really have a chance this year to make it deep in the playoffs, in my opinion. And their one weakness right now, I think, is their bullpen. Has Papelbon been really good? No. But could he shore up the bullpen a little bit more with a veteran presence? He's been in the postseason. He's been on that ball club in the past. There are strong personalities on this Red Sox team, like David Ortiz, that can really keep it in check. So you have that veteran presence, that it wouldn't just be Papelbon walking into a completely all-young team. I think if you didn't have a David Ortiz, someone like that on this club, it would be a little bit tougher. given the reason that this ball club is relatively young. And the reason why I think the Cubs could make sense for Papelbon, I'm sure he wants a ring, so that's another place he could probably try to win a ring this year, as well as you have John Lester on that team, and obviously they were teammates in Boston, so another kind of strong personality, a strong veteran presence on that team to mesh with the young guys. So definitely, both clubs, in my opinion, make a lot of sense, but if I had to put money on it, I do think he will end up in Boston if he signs anywhere. It's expected that he's going to sign, but again, I heard today on the Red Sox broadcast it's possible he could sit out the rest of the year. But I do see him signing with someone, and I would not be shocked if it were the Red Sox. Last topic today, so a little bit shorter of an episode. McGregor Diaz, UFC 202, this weekend, Saturday night. Should be a great fight. I'm anticipating I'm going to go watch it. I'm expecting a great fight. It was a great fight the last time. This is mainly talking about the press conference and talking about UFC as a whole, this kind of topic, because if you missed it, I'll try to find the video and link it in the description down below so you guys can watch it on the channel it originated. But there was a huge issue at the press conference promoting this fight. McGregor showed up like a half hour late. Diaz was already there, obviously, because he was on time. Some words were exchanged on the stage, the normal talk, like, oh, he's all talk, he's not ready for me this time, oh, he's scared, among other things. Diaz got up and walked out mid-press conference, flipping off McGregor the entire time. His little posse was also flipping him off, and then water bottles started getting thrown. McGregor grabbed like 4 water bottles on the stage and started tossing them across that area that they were for the press conference at Diaz. Security had to get involved. Of course, there was a ton of bleeping and cursing going on during this time. So I talked to a friend about this, and his opinion on this is why UFC is not going to be taken seriously as a major sport. I kind of disagree with that for the reason that this makes things very, very interesting. I don't think this is meant to be a child's sport for children to watch. The WWE has done a very, very good job transitioning from more of an adult atmosphere in the last decade to a family-friendly PG atmosphere that anyone can really watch. And I don't think that's what the UFC is trying to become. I think the UFC is really trying to become a major sport, and I think they definitely can and already should be considered a major sport in the United States, especially. Because you look at some of these sports that are not dying out, but the passion of young people is starting to wither a little bit, baseball being one of those. People love watching violence, always have, always will. It's fun to watch. The storylines are genuine. That's the one thing about the WWE, that if a storyline seems genuine, you're more interested compared to one you feel is definitely staged, which all of it is obviously staged and scripted, but when it feels genuine, when you really feel the guys don't like each other, it becomes a little bit more interesting, and that's obviously what you have here with McGregor and Diaz. They really don't like each other. It makes the fights and the stuff leading up to the fights even more interesting to watch. I don't think this discredits UFC in any way from becoming a major sport with having these kind of storylines. I think it makes them a lot more interesting to watch. So this has been Michael That Guy Expo from Exponential DFS with the newest Exponential Sports Talk. Any of the stories I talked about in today's episode are going to be linked down in the description below to some links to videos and what have you. You guys can kind of follow up on what I talked about. Look forward to another video tomorrow with Corey. That will be our dual pod for the week. We're going to be doing our SEC East college football preview show tomorrow, so make sure not to miss that. Spread this video around if you guys did enjoy. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment with what you thought about the episode or any opinions you guys have on any of the topics I discussed. This has been Michael with That Guy Expo. See you guys.
HBK, yeah, you know how we. And I can't quit, all I know is gang.